Hello, Oracles. How's it going today? So we're going to do some chart chat. The stock, of course, came down today. We broke through that 223 level, looking to see what was pulling us down to that point. So it seems like we got the China production numbers that came out. We will be discussing that. Karav, thank you for pointing that out. I just saw that before I left work. And we also had the Fed come out with a little bit more of a hawkish stance yet again, despite Cathie Wood urging the Fed to just not do this because we see potential natural deflation coming up. So we'll get into a lot of this today. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to jump on. Let me see who we got on here. Karav, hello, sir. Yes, we'll be going out with those China production numbers. Mike, how is it going today? And I do want to thank you guys. All of your suggestions and everything over the last year. Those of you guys who have been with me for a while know that I am technology challenged. And tonight, let me know how this sounds and looks because I have my microphone that I've been using, but I actually have my phone as my camera right now. I feel like a very important guy who actually knows what he's doing almost. So I'm getting there. So I appreciate it. And thanks to you guys and all of your support, I have been able to, get all of these things to be able to upgrade the studio. So thank you guys so much for that. Let me see. I'll throw the chart up right now so you guys can see it. And see, that was SoFi I was looking at. Yes, I own SoFi as well because I do have my fractional shares going through them. Yes, waiting to catch that falling knife. But, as I say, when it comes to Tesla, catching the falling knife is, going to turn into a flaming sword in the end. So keep on catching it. You're going to grow some great calluses on your hands and will be great in the long run. Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that, Kelvin. Kenneth coming at us from Wyoming. How's it going, sir? Yeah, so we'll jump, quickly we'll jump into it right now, Karav, because you can give me your feedback on this. So yeah, just trying to look at the numbers. So it looks like, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was 82,000. Let me see if I can jump it on here. 82,000 produced out of China. Let me get on Twitter here. Let me see. I know Rob just shared it on ShareLoft. Rob, did you share it? Let me see. Give me your numbers, buddy. All right. Yeah, if you guys don't follow Karav on here, definitely follow this guy right here on Twitter. If you guys are on Twitter, it's funny because I never thought I would ever be on Twitter until the Tesla community is awesome over there. So that's the only reason I jumped on Twitter, and it's been awesome. I get a lot of great information over there. See if Troy had mentioned it. Why am I not getting this anywhere? What is going on? Get out of here. All right. So, 83,135. Thank you. So 83,135 looks like it was the production number coming out of Shanghai. So Tesla still delivered every single vehicle that they produced in September. I mean, so Karav, you can give me your feedback on that one. But to me, that was one of the things that we were looking for is there a demand issue? They've delivered everything that they produced, and they even still had extra vehicles on boats that were still getting delivered. So to me, that seems like it's good. Now, the big question is why did they produce so few? And not saying there was a little number. I mean, it was still a record number, but compared to the growth that we had seen, why was it less? So we know that they had the typhoon that came through that shut them down for a little while, at least one day. It was 1 day shorter than they had in August. So that could have been it as well, but that still doesn't make up for all of it. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot about that, and we can have discussions on here tonight about it as well. All right, let's jump into the charts because that's what we're on here for. Where did it go? Charts. All right. So Looking at the charts today, let me go back to the day chart. So looking at our day chart, we were discussing previously how 215, and you guys can see right here, my level of support is at the 213 level. And so I knew between 213 and 215 was going to be this level of support. And sure enough, right, bounced exactly at that $215 level. So, our levels of support have been holding off the entire way down. We talked about 313, we talked about 289, 290. Every single one of these we stopped at on a daily basis, and we did end up breaking through. So, of course, these are just levels of support to watch that we usually stop at, and then we just pay attention to see, are we going to bounce or are we going to break through? And 223 the last few days seemed to be a strong support for us. And then as we hit that 223, I was like, all right, we're here. We're going to need a catalyst of some sort to break us through that. And we got that catalyst today, which seemed like the Fed coming out with a little bit more of a hawkish stance, and with the PPI coming out tomorrow and CPI coming out on Thursday, that seemed to be exactly what the market was looking for to break us down to this next support level. So, the 216 is kind of in between, so it's not directly at a support. Like I said, the support's really down here, the 213 to 215. Supports can shift a little bit, but right now that 215 is that support that we bounced right off of. So looking at lower levels of support below this, and I know we don't like to talk about it, but one of the things you have to be as a wise investor, as painful as it is you have to be realistic and open to the fact that things might actually come down. So again, don't want to have to talk about it, but the next level down below us, so we've got that 213 and then 207. That's the next level that we are looking at below us. Below that is the $200 level of psychological support. Below that is going to be 191, and then below that is that gap that goes down to that 187 level. So now this is something we had talked about similarly when we were at the 247. So we had the 247 gap, and then we had below that was the support. This is kind of reverse. So we have the support and then the gap right below it. So again, those are just the levels down. Going back up, I mean, we've got awesome levels going back up, all the same things that we hit before. So we've got 232, 245, 265, 279. So everything to watch on the way back up. Now, looking at the patterns that we've got. So we were discussing, somebody had asked previously about this cup and handle that we were in. So we had this really nice cup and handle pattern that had been forming. Where can I get a better view of this? Let's go up here. So that was the August timeframe. So here it is right here. So here was our cup. So here was the one brim. Then we ended up coming down. This was the cup, and we came back up, and then this was the handle. So sometimes, as we discussed, you get the handle and then you get a breakout. So we got a breakout, but the breakout did not last very long, and we did not break that 313 level. That is what held us up, was 313. Could not break this level. So then we ended up breaking down. So this is what happens when you see a pattern that is forming that could lead to a breakout or a breakdown, and you go to break out and you do not break through that strong resistance level, you usually fall hard. And we have definitely been falling hard for sure. So now this goes in the opposite direction, and we've seen it in the past. In the past, if we broke through this, we could have seen this go in the complete opposite direction. It could have followed this channel all the way up. So that did not happen this time. But again, these are just the things that we look at. So nothing is guaranteed when you get to these levels. It's just what we're paying attention to, and usually see if this happens, this is the reaction we are most likely going to get. So we did not break it. We bounced. That is the reaction we will most likely get. If we broke out, the reaction on the other side would have been a mirror to this. So these are the things that I just pay attention to in the charts, because again, nobody knows what the future is going to bring. Nobody knows exactly how we're going to handle it, but at least we can ask the questions and see if we get through this, there's a good chance it's going to run. If we don't get through it, we're going to fall. And we were discussing it the whole time at 313. If we don't break it, we're going to fall. And so now where we're at right now, we hit that 223, we broke it, we fell. So now we're hitting this 215 level. We'll kind of in limbo. Now we see, we wait. Do we fall again? Again, we'll have to wait and find out. Let me go through your comments here. Karab just tweeted his thoughts. I'll jump into that in a second. Let me me see. Stock keeps hitting its head off at the 200 SMA. I don't think I have that one on here. Let me see if I can find other. Let's see what I have for options. I'm going to have to try and find that on here. I do not see that one on here. There's a lot of indicators to go by the way. There's so many to go by. It's hard to follow them all. I like the RSI. That's the one I've been talking about on here quite regularly. So the RSI for you guys is what's down here. And so the RSI is the relative strength index. And again, the relative strength index is, kind of gives you the indication where if you're under 30, it typically means that you are oversold and you should expect some buying pressure to come in. Over 70 usually means you're overbought. So you can see this little shaded area here on the charts and a little shaded area here. So we're at 25. We've still come down. And again, like I talked about last year, going back to, I'll swing this back to when we got the Hertz news. So this is here, the Hertz news. I mean, we were rocking above 70. We hit a high of 93 in the RSI. That is silly high to be at for the RSI, but we got there. So nothing to say we couldn't fall even further when it comes to the RSI down below 30. But looking all year long, all year long we never got below 30. Like we were down here at 30. We bounced right off of 30 several times, even during the lows that we had. So right here, the 207 low that we had for the year, that was right at the 30 mark. So when it comes to the RSI on a yearly basis, we are the lowest we have been all year long. So I'm definitely expecting some buying pressure to come in. But again, there is just max fear and FUD in the market right now. So many recession talks going on. The entire market is just concerned about entire global recession happening in 2023. So all of this is just getting priced in. This is exactly why we're seeing this. This is exactly why we have the NASDAQ right now sitting at the lowest level we have seen since July of 2020. So lots of selling off going on. There's still some things that still have not reached pre-pandemic levels. Tesla is one of them. We have not reached pre-pandemic levels. Whether we're going to get there or not, I don't know. Again, we can go back to Chicken Genius. He said 140. I don't agree with us going down that far, but I'm going to go ahead and show you guys something that I did notice that someone had pointed out to me. So looking at the month chart. So was it the month chart? Maybe it was the week chart. So someone had pointed out, we were in, since early 2021, a head and shoulders pattern. Now, head and shoulders pattern usually means that we're going to be switching from a bullish sentiment to a bearish sentiment. And so here is one shoulder here. Then we came over here and we hit the head. And now here is the other shoulder. So looking at the chart that way on a weekly basis, that could indicate a massive breakdown coming in the charts. So again, not to say it's going to happen, but just looking at some indicators, it's possible. And if that does end up coming to fruition and that plays out, then the 140 that Chicken Genius talked about could be true. Whether we get there or not, again, I don't know, but this is why I run my strategy that I do, which is, plan for the worst and hope for the best. I'm hoping we bounce. I'm hoping we go back up. I would love to see a lot of green. But unfortunately, we're pretty beat down right now. But again, with the RSI being as low as it is, I'm not sure. But looking at the RSI on the weekly chart, we're at 38.74. So theoretically, based off of the weekly chart, we could come down some more. Now, again, if you look at the monthly chart, we're actually at 47.8. So, just looking at a few different figures just from the RSI, it's something that could potentially happen. Again, I'm going to load the boat if it does happen. I don't know for sure if it will. But looking at the volume also, we're right in the average of the volume again. We're back up to that 76 million shares trading hands. So back up to that normal volume. But it has been ugly. And I don't want to spread FUD. I don't want to bring fear or anything into this. Just pointing out things that I'm seeing and potentials. But again, one of the things that over on Twitter, we were talking with Alexandra, Tesla Boomer Mama. It's ugly. There's a lot of fear, even in the Tesla community, even against some of the strongest that are out there saying, when is this going to turn around? It will. Look at your long-term thesis. Bob had actually mentioned in the comments earlier today, talking about how, the times from 2014 to 2019, it was just flat and dead. But those were the times you wanted to add. Anybody who was buying the stock between 2014 and 2019 right now is either retired or enjoying Teslaionaire status themselves. Realistically, that's where they're at. So these are the times right now where you'd want to be adding. Not financial advice, but these are the times you'd want to be adding. Now, let me go through your comments here. Let me see. Angelo, hi Tim. I wonder if it is time for Tesla to report sold vehicles, that is leaving the factory door with a customer address. I don't know. I think so. Deliveries right now is based upon, did the customer actually take the vehicle? And they have to do it that way because sometimes just because it has an address on it doesn't mean it's actually delivered, because some people do pick up from not dealerships, but the delivery centers. So like mine is going to be coming from a delivery center, because in Connecticut, there's a lot of states that cannot do deliveries because they technically can't by law. And here in Connecticut, I can't take it by law. So mine is strictly by picking it up at the delivery center. And so if that is the case, it has to strictly be the customer has signed for this, because another customer, another subscriber, another Bob actually had mentioned that, he took his Model Y, but there was an issue with it. So he had to have them fix that. Some people are actually getting there to take their deliveries, and there's an issue with it. So they can't take that delivery because there's an issue. And so this is just something that they have to monitor, so that the customer actually sign and take the vehicle. That, I believe, is what they go by right now. And that's the correct way to do it. Because if they started going by that, then all of a sudden there's people who are like, maybe, 1% of people didn't actually take their vehicle, so they have to get another one for them. So they'd be falsifying numbers, and that's not right either. Let's see. Felipe, hi. I'm terrified. When I saw yesterday on CNBC, some analyst gave a target of 80s to Tesla. How can it be? So Felipe, a couple of things. One, personally, don't be afraid. Two, CNBC, Stephen Mark Ryan calls it CNBS for a reason, because you got to remember, when it comes to the news and mainstream media, it's sensationalism. They have to put out things that are going to draw people's attention. Somebody giving an $80 price target to Tesla draws attention. I don't know who that was. If you can share who it was. Gordon Johnson, I know, is way lower than that. So I couldn't believe it was him. But whoever it is, you also have to remember that analyst price targets are all over the place. We have some that are very high. We have some in the 760 range, some that go down to the $20 range when you're talking about Gordon Johnson. And it's all about how they come up with their valuation model, what they put into their valuation model. Do they factor in FSD and AI? Do they factor in energy? What is the PE that they put onto it? Do they look at the company like it's an automotive maker? Do they look at it like it's a software company? So many factors go into price targets. To me, I don't look at the actual number for price targets. I look at the general sentiment around them. So when I start to see, right currently, we've been seeing a lot of price targets coming down. Now, the price targets coming down were because of a couple of reasons. Deliveries were down a little bit. The entire macro environment's coming down. The whole entire macro environment, looking at a recession to next year, is potentially looking at, a situation where maybe there's less deliveries next year. So a lot of people are forecasting less deliveries next year, not because of Tesla, but because of the recession. That is it. So if we don't end up getting all of these negative numbers coming in, and we don't get this massive global recession that people are talking about, watch out, because we are going to take off massively. So right now we're factoring in and pricing in the absolute worst. But when it comes to the price targets, there's a lot of people who factor in so many odd random things, and those can fluctuate significantly. So I do not look at that. I look at the trend of them. Right now, the trend of some of them are coming down. But we've seen it in the past. A lot of them come down and then they all of a sudden turn back around again. So it's hard to follow those all as well. Yes, as Mike put it, those so-called analysts can make it in the real world, so they get hired to play a one on TV. So true. And it's funny because we were talking about it on our live stream last Saturday. If you guys didn't check it out on My Tesla Weekend, Brian had James Stevenson on there as well. So the three of us had a nice chat. And we talked about just that. A lot of these analysts are actually looking at many of us for our numbers. In the past, their numbers were so far off, Tesla would surprise every single time. But there's so many people in the Tesla community have such great numbers. Troy Tesla, like Tesla Karav, even Brian over at my Tesla Weekend has very accurate numbers. And, so many people have such great accurate numbers that they just follow us. They're patrons to James Stevenson, they're patrons to Troy Tesla. Like, they're getting their numbers. So we're not exploding and blowing numbers out of the water as much and beating expectations like we were before, because a lot of these analysts are just looking at all of us who are accurate and taking our numbers and using them for their own. Yes, don't panic, buy Tesla. Not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. Let me see. What could cause us to pop in the near future? Earnings, maybe? Earnings. So here's another big thing too, and a reason why we're not getting a lot of buying pressure coming in. So as you can see here on the charts, so we've got a lot of selling pressure. So we've been seeing lower volumes. Now we have higher volumes, but selling. So when you see higher volumes and selling, that means that there's a lot of money coming in selling the stock. The reason this is happening is because right now there's still a question mark out there of, is Elon going to have to sell more shares to buy Twitter? That is a huge question. If that is something that is going to happen, then the stock price is most likely going to come down some more. That's just the nature of it. Somebody selling as many shares as Elon has to sell, the stock price is going to come down. So a lot of these big money institutions that are out there, especially now that Tesla is investment grade when it comes to credit rating, they are waiting to see this happen. Once that happens, they can say, all right, we've gotten Q3 earnings. We know what's going on there. We have seen Elon has sold his shares. Excellent. Now we know that there's no more selling pressure coming out from Elon. We can then buy back in again. So that buying pressure coming back in might actually happen once we get clarification on Elon and whether he is going to sell more shares or not. And then, of course, if we get buyback news, that's going to be big as well. We have the talks about, Leo Kogawan wanted Tesla to go out there and do a $5 billion share buyback. And if that's the case, and they do 5 billion and Elon happens to sell 5 billion, that's actually a wash and a balance. So that could balance that off there. Oh, was that Gordon? Okay. I wasn't sure because I figured Gordon's was lower after the split because he was like $73 pre-split. So I would imagine he was 20 something post-split. So if he's still 80 something after the split, that's actually pretty bullish. Let me see. Karav, I have to say I am baffled to why deliveries were so low this quarter. Now having all production data, Giga Shanghai only exported 5,000, which means 17,000 in logistics problem from other factories. Yeah, I'm hoping there's going to be a lot of questions about this. I've sometime this week, if they have not released it yet, we'll have the questionnaire coming out for Q3 earnings. So, when it comes to the earnings questions, if you guys aren't on it right away to put your question in there, it's usually not brought up. But there's usually a lot of good questions that come out there. So when it comes out, I will post it for you guys in the comments so you can jump on as well to thumbs up and thumbs down or whatever the comments you guys want to see and the questions you guys want to see answered. They actually do a very good job of answering retail questions, which is awesome. Sometimes in the past, they've done the top 5 questions. Lately, I've seen them do like the top 10 or 15 questions, which is great. So yeah, definitely get over there to put out your questions to see what they want answered. Because one of the things that I want to know is if they're going to end up breaking down energy, because knowing that we're coming into energy, and it was brought up in my comments as well, especially when it comes to China and Europe with potential energy issues going on and all of these cars being sold over there. Are there going to be restrictions when it comes to charging your EVs like we have seen in California? Are we going to have these questions over in Europe, especially if going through the winter, they're already talking about some energy issues. I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns, and the unknown is the thing the market hates the most. When we've got unknowns in the market, we see red, just like we're seeing right now. And right now, unfortunately, there's more questions than answers. And when there's more questions than answers, the market's going to be red. Let me see. Felipe, 2 analysts discussing one 400, the other 80s target. Chances are, I would guess they usually have Gene Munster on there with Gordon Johnson all the time. That's like the famous duo that goes on there regularly. So I'm guessing it was those two. I didn't see it, but that's usually who they have on. Let's see. Thomas, hi Tim from Berlin, Germany. How is it going over there, Thomas? My honest opinion, investors waiting desperately for the Twitter deal finished. Any news? No. As of right now, the last news we have gotten on their Twitter deal are that more and more of the financial backers are coming out and signifying that they are still going to be backing the deal. So it's great news because that just means we're getting more reassurance that everybody who is there that was backing them up means that that's less shares that Elon would have to sell if he would have to sell any. But don't forget, he did sell a good chunk in August. And when he sold them in August, that was basically him saying, I sold these just in case we don't get the financial backing that we need. So everybody seems to be coming out. So at this point, nobody truly knows. I mean, if we're going back to what Elon had told us back in August, he shouldn't have to sell anymore. But again, there's still that question up in the air, which is why there's nobody really coming in with big money buying at the moment. Let's see. Steve, I added 8 shares last week by selling 100 at the SMA, then a limit buy at the price target that gets me 101 shares. That's actually something, and again, not financial advice. And somebody had asked me this, do I have to say this all the time? Yes, I do. And I apologize. I know it sounds ridiculous and redundant, but there have been way too many content creators out there who have been sued by people because of the fact that they had, done some trades based off of what these people had said, and they lost money off of it. So I apologize for sounding ridiculous, but I have to because I cannot afford to get sued by anyone. And I trust all of you, but there's some crazy people out there. So that is something that I do in my IRA, and I did swing and I made 2 shares in my IRA. I missed the last swing up and I didn't sell at the 313 like I had wanted to. But I did sell prior to the split. I sold at 1050. And then I bought back in at the 750 or the 250 level this time around. So basically 750. So that there in itself ends up netting me 2 shares. And I didn't have a lot. I sold 5 and bought back in. So I actually made 2 shares off of selling 5. So it works well, following these charts. And for the IRA, it's great for me because it's tax free. So if you guys happen to have an account like that, that's tax free, it's something to look into as a possibility. Definitely do your own research and what you want to do for it. But I learned that from actually several of you guys, and I've done well myself. So thank you for educating me on that. Ian from the UK, from England. Good evening, Tim. Here in England, we may have Putin's nukes pointed at us, and Tesla continues to tank, but I'm not worried. Enjoy your son's football camp. Cancun's overrated anyway. Thank you. Yes, his football, aka soccer camp, is great. The kid loves soccer. I'm never going to say no to him. So yes, that is a better place to put my money is into him. And I'm probably going to end up going maybe up for a couple of days camping in New Hampshire. It's going to be cold, but I'll take a couple of days somewhere. And I'll be able to take some videos for you guys out in nature, which will be awesome. Because that's to me what I want. I just want to get away for a little while. And I don't mind being home. And actually, what I've also decided to do is invest some of that money also into the studio. So I have a couple of big things that I'm getting. So thank you to you guys and all your support. Just continuing to upgrade the studio and provide better content for you guys has been huge for me. And so I'll be focusing on that during that vacation. Let me see. Let me see. Alan, if Elon needs more money for Twitter, I'd like to see Tesla buy back his shares. Honestly, that's how it could balance out. I'm really curious if that's how it's going to play out. If Tesla literally just buys back Elon's shares, which would be insane to think about. The only question I have is how would that be looked at? Like that would look shady to a lot of people who don't trust Elon, and I could totally understand where they'd be coming from on that. But it would be a brilliant move, in my opinion. All right, Karav, here we go. Let's see. Okay, now I'm getting it more. Wholesale this quarter was 188,317 vehicles, which means that about 9,000 vehicles are still being staged for export. Add the September export to that, you get about 14,000. Okay, perfect. So that is exactly what they were talking about, was that's what's on ships right now. We know that they carried over 10,000 vehicles in inventory from July to August into September as well. So let me see. So 14,000 from Shanghai that were not delivered. That leaves 8,000 from the rest of the factories. This makes much more sense. Okay, yes. So all in all, this is good. And don't forget, when you're looking at the numbers coming out of Shanghai, the The 83,000 deliveries was a record. 77,600 domestic was short of a record by 200 that they made back in June. So this is where we're at. So still awesome numbers. We're still making amazing progress. A huge total addressable market to still grow into. Don't forget, we are making this EV revolution happen. I mean, it's not like it's not going to happen. The whole world is transitioning over. We're hitting the valley of death a lot sooner than people thought. So the valley of death is the 5-year time frame we're about to get into, where people are wanting EVs, but there's not enough EVs out there, and ICE vehicles are going away. So we kind of have a glut of ICE vehicles that nobody wants, and not enough EVs out there. So it's just a matter of who can produce the most. And every EV that is produced is most likely going to get sold, regardless of who is making them. Because if people can't get what they want from Tesla, they're going to get it from somewhere else, especially if they need a vehicle and they can't wait. Let's see. Alan, who cares about those who don't trust Elon? I mean, honestly, I like to look at both sides. I need to be realistic as a wise investor and just a wise human being. You don't want to get yourself stuck in the bubble of the Tesla sphere. It's a great place to be. I absolutely love the community. You guys are the best. The whole community is one of the best communities I've ever been involved in. But getting so involved in it without being able to see reality outside of it at the same time is also dangerous. So I like to keep my mind, at least a foot outside the door to feel what's going on out there in the weather, realistically. But I take everything with a grain of salt. I read it and I find the facts about what's going on, and I read it on both ends of everything to see what's really going on. And honestly, everything I have seen from Elon has not, everything he says leads me to be able to trust him. There's nothing that he has done. And I'm a pretty good judge of emotions and of character. And he's a pretty legit and sincere, genuine guy. Karav, let me see here. Posted his Shanghai delivery production estimates. We're going to take a look at that. So again, if you guys don't follow him over on Twitter, you'll get to follow him right now. Let me see here. Karav, all right. So Giga Shanghai missed about 2.5 days of production. Yep, that was it. We knew that, with a production number of 82,088. We had 1884 Model Ys daily, 1100 Model 3s. So overall, they were producing 2,984 daily. So I know that their run rate was higher than that, but they've been producing at 93%, which is totally fine. Running at 100% is something we will probably only see in maybe the last month of the year. So maybe December we'll see that. But it's so hard to run actually full bore 100% all the time. There's just so many other factors going out there. So overall, it was 51,834 Model Ys and 30,257 Model 3s. I know they are eventually going to be working themselves up to a factor of 2 to 1. So for every 2 Model Ys they produce, it'll be 1 Model 3. So I'm not sure why. And I know Rob Maurer had questioned, why it was a little bit less when it comes to the Model Y this month. So, I don't know if that was just because of the down days and they were focusing more on the Model 3. Truly don't know. But we shall see if they had discussed that on the earnings. So Q3 production from Giga Shanghai was 197,412. And that's one thing too, is we only get broken down Shanghai. And previously it was easy. So when we only had Fremont and Shanghai, hey, whatever Giga Shanghai didn't produce, we knew it came out of Fremont. So now having 4 factories, I don't know if they're going to start breaking down. But we know end of the year, Berlin is looking to get to a run rate of 5,000 vehicles per week. Previously earlier in the year, it was 10,000, but they were also originally supposed to have a third shift start in October. That has been pushed off until December. So some factors, supply chain shortages, and you got to remember that part of the supply chain shortages could be labor. Labor is a supply in some facet, and labor is an issue a lot, not just here in the US, but around the world. And actually, Thomas, you being over in Berlin, are you guys seeing an issue with employment? Do you guys have the same jobs issue that we have right now, where there's a lot of job openings and nobody to fill those jobs? So if that is actually something that's going on in Germany, that would indicate the reasons why we're not having a third shift coming until December. So yeah, so that's the breakdown there. I'm hoping that they break down more and give us more information. I doubt they're going to. I'm just hoping that they're going to give us more breakdown as far as the factories go. Don't forget, we're also going to be discussing most likely another gigafactory coming up. I have no doubt they're going to be discussing that by the end of the year. I don't know if they'll announce it at the earnings. In the past, they said that usually earnings calls are not the place to announce, gigafactory openings or new products. So we already know that semi's coming. So the Cybertruck, I'm hoping they're going to be discussing at the end of the year and maybe releasing the order page so that I can choose what trim I want. That would be awesome. And then the other thing too is the compact car. And this, when anybody's talking about demand, the compact car is going to be the game changer. That is going to be the answer to everyone's question of, well, Tesla's demand, especially if we go into this recession next year where demand isn't as strong as we had been seeing over the last couple of years, everybody's going to say, well, it's because the price is too high. Don't forget, Tesla can come down on the prices. But as we already saw with just the rumors about prices coming down in Shanghai and China, that the delivery or the demands seem to come down because a lot of people are like, "Ooh, if prices are going to come down, we are going to wait and we are going to be taking our deliveries later." So it was a delay of demand. We're also seeing the same thing here in the US when it comes to the EV tax credit. So because of these things, I am going to be looking at the fact that this demand is going to get delayed. Now, when they are coming down on prices again next year, that same thing is going to happen. And I talked about this earlier in the year. People are thinking, well, when price comes down, demand is going to go up. That is true. Elon had said it before that when price comes down, the demand factor goes up by a factor of 10. So it's like for every $10,000 you come down, that is going to exponentially grow demand. But initially, it's going to delay it because when people see the price come down, they're going to be like, all right, I'm going to wait for that price to come down because now I want to buy. So if there's the rumor about it, people are going to wait. If they just come out and say, all right, price drop, then people are going to either they may cancel orders and buy later. That's a whole different world of stuff that Tesla's going to have to deal with. So now if they come out with a compact car, because think about it, coming down $5,000, that was enough to make people pause. The EV tax credit of 7,500, enough to make people push off deliveries till next year. Now Tesla comes out with a vehicle that is $20,000 less. That's going to be a massive demand cliff for the Model 3 and most likely the Model Y, unless the model is so much different than the other two that it's going to separate it entirely. But if people are just buying a Model 3 or a Model Y strictly because they want a Tesla or an EV, now all of a sudden they have an option for a significantly lower priced vehicle. Demand is going to shift. So it'll be there for the compact car for sure. So that demand will go up significantly. But if they come out with that compact car and say, hey, it's now the end of 2023. By the end of 2024, we are going to have this. We may see demand slide for an entire year before that comes out. So they're going to have to be very careful about the timing of it when they announce it, because they're going to see that demand shift to that new vehicle. Let me see. Oh man, I love some of the haters there. YouTube user. Is that really your name, YouTube user? I mean, I appreciate everybody who's on here, even if you're going to come on here and and be some Tesla Q or a bear. That's cool with me, but it's just great. Is that really your name, or is you just a generic YouTube user? That's awesome. Let me see. Refresh for a chart. You got it. Um, Actually, how do I even do that on there? Do. There's the chart. All right. So chart Fremont breakdown deliveries. Karava, by the way, he sent me his whole entire spreadsheet. I love that breakdown. I'm very jealous of how you did that. I'm not very good with Excel, but that was delightful to look at and how you broke it down. So looking at Berlin, Austin, production deliveries. Okay, so that's how you broke it down. So that makes sense. I'm gonna have to go and break down mine. I have not done that. That's on my to-do list for this weekend, is to break down all of that. Let's see. Fed, Fed wants everyone to be broke. I mean, so I mean, there's a lot of tinfoil hat theories out there, great resets, things like that. Forcing the entire market to go the way it's going, and the way we're looking right now, I can't disagree with it. Let's see. Best thing for IRA account buy of Tesla for me is that I don't have to worry about short-term price action. I have done 10x before and plan to do it again. Yeah. IRAs are great, tax-free. Just set it and forget it. It's like a 401k type plan. Um, I love that. And again, just getting into the timing right now of dollar cost averaging, these are the times right now. And again, you know, adding every little bit that I do. I did add today. I was waiting to see if we are going to break below 223, and we did. So I added at 216 today. I put another $15 in. So that was a nice little add. And if we break down further, if we hit that probably the 207 to 210 level, if we get down to there, I'll add some more. I just, at this point right now, with PPI coming out tomorrow and CPI on Thursday, like I'm hoping we get some good numbers because I cannot fathom us falling any further. But yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe Tesla can offer FSD for free to compensate for paying the higher price. Actually, so I was having a conversation because one of the questions that I have, oh, hold on, I'm going to get into that a second because Thomas just answered. In Berlin, the workers are very loyal looking for a Tesla job. In Brandenburg, don't know why the third shift coming so late. All right, that is awesome. Good to know, Thomas, because, and here again, a lot of people want to work for Tesla. Engineers, obviously, SpaceX and Tesla are the top two places. When it comes to the factories, it's a little bit different. It's not an engineer place, but Tesla does pay well. Out of all the legacy automotive makers, they do pay the best, as far as I know from the information that I have seen recently. They do pay the best, and their employee stock purchase plan they have out there, and they offer some really good benefits, and they're getting better. So, to me, it seems like Tesla is a place that people want to go and work. And so to see that they are doing that over in Berlin as well is great. So getting back to the FSD and higher price. So I was having a conversation with a bunch of people on Twitter because a big question I'm having for myself is, do I get my Model Y? Can I push it off? I don't know if I can push it off. Someone had informed me over on Twitter, and I don't know if this is going from delivery center to delivery center, but they said that Tesla told him he cannot push off to next year to get the EV tax credit. I will find out for sure. My delivery date right now is October 28th to November 11th. So I'm expecting any day now to get that text message. In the past, when I had it first come up back in March, I got the text saying, hey, your vehicle is ready. And I was just able to text them back. They sent the text the first time. I ignored it because I didn't know what to do. Then they sent a second text a couple of days later and said, hey, if you want to change this or anything, just text us back with a reply. Really awesome. And it's ridiculous that a car, it's just like, hey, I'm buying a car. Hey, do you want to take your car now or not? Just text me back and let me know. And I was like, no, I'm going to push it off. So I pushed it off. And at the time, the reason I got it so early is because I had added FSD to it. I then decided, you know what? For the money I was paying and what I was doing, I didn't want to get FSD at the moment. I was trying to be wise with my finances. And while I think FSD is worth it and I would love to have it, I've got to be smart with my money. So it wasn't worth it for me to get at the time for what I had. I opted not to. So it pushed it off until next year. It has then been coming up until now. So now that I have it up again, I'm curious as if that has changed. So I will see when I get the text message if I can push it off. And if I cannot, then I really have to make that decision, because if I can push it off, that's the best of both worlds. I can push it off to next year. I'm going to keep the price that I have, which right now is $58,000, and then I can also get the EV tax credit on top of it. If I cannot, right now, the difference in price is about $5,500. So, I either, take the vehicle right now without the EV tax credit, or I reorder again for next year at the price. So I'll get the $2,000, so it'll cost me $5,500 more, but I'll get the $7,500 EV tax credit, which will be a net basically of me saving $2,000. So is that going to be worth it or not? And I'm like, but I can also take the money right now and put that into the stock, because I'm like, oh my God, the stock is such juicy prices right now. And if for whatever reason we do end up pulling down further because of this massive global recession people are thinking we're going to get into, I'm going to want that money, because to me, it's going to be about $700 a month in payments. That $700 a month I could be putting into Tesla stock. So really tough decisions. And I will of course pose it to you guys when I have to decide, and I will end up inevitably be making my own choice. as to what I want to do with this. But I love the feedback you guys give me, because I did get another great comment today discussing how, I could always take it at the price right now, order another one for next year, get the one for next year, sell the one that I have now, because who knows what the price might be. And we know that, resale value on Teslas is pretty much the same. Actually, if you bought it last year, you could have sold it for more this year. So it might go down from next year a little bit, but I might actually be able to sell it and still get the whole same deal at the same time. But if I do that, then I still don't have the monthly money to be able to put into the stock. So that's just where my thoughts are. I love to be able to make these decisions. I love to be, I'm consider myself quite, God, I can't even think of the word right now, but I'm glad, I'm grateful. That's right. I'm grateful to be in the position right now, be able to make that decision and have to be able to make that choice, where some other people don't. But let me see. Yes, IRA with Tesla is a stock printer for free. Really is. Not paying taxes on my stuff. That's awesome. All right, I'll put this one up there. You can make fun all you want while the bears eat. That's fine. Bears eat sometimes, and then bulls eat the other times. That's why the market swings the way it swings, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And eventually, the bulls will come back around, and we will have our cake and eat it too. And usually, the bears win for 2 years, and the bulls win for 10, and that's just how it goes. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what makes the market turn, is bears and bulls. If it was all bulls or all bears, it would not be the market as we know it. That's why we need to have both. So I do appreciate you. And so here we go. This is the fun. I'm buying. You are just jealous you can't, Mr. Generic. That's fine. Hey, I love the fun banter. As long as it's done in good spirits, we're all good here. I have no problems with either one. Let's see. Bought some more today, and we'll keep buying. Have been selling other positions over time, buying daily. That's what I've been doing too. Actually, I don't know. I can't share it on here. I'm gonna have to try and get one where I can share it with you guys to show what I've got. But I have been clearing out a lot of my positions I don't want. There's a few I'm going to hold on to. I'm actually at the point right now where my other positions are so small compared to everything else. And when I say everything else, I mean Tesla and cash. So my other positions are so small. I may hold them just because at this point I will be taking a loss, and like the net gain I'm going to get from them, just like it's like $40 here, $50 there. It's not really worth it for me to even sell them. I'll hold on to them. Here we go. Gene, let's see here. What is your price prediction for Tesla by the end of the year? Currently, right now, for anybody who is a member or patron, I do share all of my price targets on a weekly basis. I update them. So what I end up doing every single weekend is I'll take all the information I've gotten for production and deliveries that we've gotten out, make any adjustments according to that. I then put that into my valuation model, and then my valuation model obviously spits out all of my price targets, and I update those all for everyone as well. So I put those out on a weekly basis. I update them. So my most recent one, I'll just share my end of the year one because I don't want to share all of them just because people are paying for that. But my end of the year right now did drop to 407. That is strictly because of the fact that the macro environment is so heavy right now. And because of the EV tax credit with the deliveries that we had seen, I think there may be a delayed demand when it comes to Tesla. So I think we're going to have a massive Q1 of next year. So Q4, I think we're still going to hit 50% year over year. I still think we're going to hit 1.4 million deliveries. I still think we're going to hit 465,000 for deliveries when it comes to Q4, but I don't think we're going to hit that 495 that some people are thinking we are going to hit. And so because of that, I still have to look at analyst expectations. Actually, some analysts are coming down below that 1.4 million mark. So we might actually see a stronger rise, but we won't see the price target actually run until we get those numbers that come out on January 2nd. So I think end of the year to close the year out because of the uncertainty will probably be around that $400 mark. That's what I have it at. But again, looking at where we're at right now, that's almost a 2x to the end of the year. So that means that we're going to have a massive run to get there. We'll see. But I am going to be doing a major update when it comes to my price targets when we get Q3 earnings. And I will be doing a live stream for the Q3 earnings. So I'm going to check with Vin to see if he can be on. Brian over at My Tesla Weekend, going to try to do a kind of a split live stream with him as well. So I'll probably do 2 live streams that day. I'll do one for when the numbers drop, and they'll take a break and they'll come back on for the earnings call. Let me see. Yep. Model Y best-selling car in Germany for the month of September. That's not EVs. That is not luxury vehicles. That is all vehicles. Germany, number one. And that beat out the VW Golf. And I know that a lot of you guys from Europe have told me that the Golf is basically, the ideal vehicle type size that's over there. I know when I have visited over there, I was in Norway and Sweden and Iceland, and that's basically the size car that I rented. And it's perfect. It's ideal. It gets you from point A to point B the cheapest way possible. So it's an ideal vehicle for over there. And I know, you get onto, let's call it mainland Europe, the roads are just smaller. It's an older, part of the world, and the roads are smaller. So to see the Model Y being able to outsell that vehicle is huge, because thinking about when Tesla does come out with the compact car, I mean, that's just going to just take off. If the Model Y can beat out the Golf, just wait till the compact car comes out. My dad's best friend told him to buy 2 shares of Berkshire in 1982. It was $2,000 a share at the time. Now, $200,000 per share. That is how Warren Buffett plays it. Warren Buffett buys a stock, buys a company that believes in, sees it doing well long term, and just rides it out. It's what the dude does. And that's exactly what happened with his fund. His fund has just gone up this way. Obviously, he has bought a lot of other companies along the way and done other things with his money as well. But, that right there is just what it plays out. And that's exactly what people are looking at right now. And people are looking at, Tesla right now, if you're looking at it pre-splits, that's what $5,000 we're at right now. Is that the math right? 220 to 660 times 5. So a little over $4,000, rough math. So people would be like, oh my gosh, do I want to buy that? Now, Berkshire, I don't think Berkshire has ever split. I could be wrong, but I believe they've never split. I don't think Warren Buffett believes in that. But, looking at Tesla at that price, people are like, oh, it's so overvalued, but go long term. That's why we're constantly looking long term. Obviously, anything can happen. But when you look long term at a company who is focused on the things that Tesla is focused on to literally revolutionize the world and disrupt the world in so many ways, the prices right now could seem so low to me. Let's see. Yep, exactly. So lesson is buy and hold Tesla long term, and we will all be happy. That's the plan. And all I do as a wise investor is, I believe in Tesla long term. I'm buying and holding. The only time I ever sell anything is strictly in my IRA when we're in one of these massive swings that we've seen. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. To me, I just sell it just because I plan on buying lower and buying more shares. It's my way of basically selling puts because I don't have enough money to buy options and do options yet. That's just my way of doing it. But, long term, that is going to pay off. It's just accumulating as many shares as I possibly can. Let's see. Just listening to you guys having your conversation between bears and bulls. Let's see. Jay Lizard, when you have a nice house or car, people look at you differently. You see yourself differently. Opportunities open up for you. That is very true. And I've thought about that when it comes to my Tesla. And for me, I live simply. I'm not too concerned about my status. But it does make you feel good sometimes, like having the car, just riding it, and you're like, you know what? This is cool. And you have just have that different emotion that comes out, and you're absolutely right. And then when it comes to other people, they do. I mean, a perfect example, as a Beachbody coach, when I was first starting, I remember I met up with this woman and we were discussing the coaching opportunity and what it could provide and the money it could generate for you. And we were walking out to our cars afterwards, and she saw me walking towards a BMW, and she's like, "Is that yours?" And I'm like, "No, that's not mine." I was like, "I have the little shit box over there." And she's like, "Oh," she's like, "'Cause if that were yours, I was going to sign up right now." For some people, that makes a difference. So, if you have that car and status quo, and I hate having people look at me just because, oh, I mean something different to them because of something that I own. I think that's ridiculous. I am who I am, regardless of what kind of vehicle I drive. I think I'm a good human being. And, that's how I judge people, is whether you're an asshole or not, So if you're a nice person, I'm going to judge you by that, not by what kind of vehicle you drive. But some people do that, and you're absolutely right. And so when you have that, some people do look at you differently, and then those opportunities could open up. So for me, I prefer to run the sleeper method, which is what I'm doing now. I'll do it wisely, and when I get to that point where I have the Tesla, then I'll take that next step. So, maybe I will get the car for that reason, just to open up those opportunities. But if it's going to financially hold me back, and perhaps not having it now opens up more opportunities in the future, delayed gratification, there's something to be said about that as well. And that's why, here as Tesla stockholders during these times, hold on to that delayed gratification. So while we do have, YouTube user, for real though, you guys need to stop listening to YouTube pumpers. By the way, not pumping the stock at all. Pretty realistic here. You're losing money. I'm not. By the way, you're also not losing any money unless you sell. So, if you think Tesla is going to do well in the long term, then you are going to do well in the long term, and that delayed gratification is going to pay off. That's what I'm doing. Again, not financial advice, but that's what I'm doing. And I feel that it's going to pay off. So in the near term, if you're a swing trader and you're selling out right now and you sold for a loss, you have lost money. He's not wrong. But if you are holding, this is why I add. Yep, and Logan is spot on. Bear market allows the bulls to stock up. That's truly what this is all about. Again, fortunes are born during bear markets, because while, some people play both ends of the spectrum, some people will play it on the way down and the way back up. Those people, there's nothing wrong with that. They make a lot of money doing it. Some people lose a lot of money doing it as well. But during the bear markets, people who are bulls load up the stocks. And that's what it is. And think about Warren Buffett with dividends. He has a lot of stocks that pay big dividends. So if you have a dividend stock, like I have QYLD, and that dividend itself, I'm loading up on a ton of shares because the price is down. So it's still paying me 10% dividends, and I'm just loading up on more and more during this market as it's down. And because it's down in price, I can get more. Then when the stock turns around, it's not there for the gains, for the growth, but it will grow, and it'll grow and bring even more money in for me. And Tesla will grow even more as well. So these are the times you want to add, because think about when the stock was up at $1,200, pre or post split right now, you'd be looking at $400. So $400, I could only buy half as many shares as I'm buying right now. So that's why I am grateful for a bear market. It does suck, man. It's painful to be through this, but I prepared myself for it all year. I prepared by having cash flow generation to be able to buy all of this. Let's see. Gus, 1987, saying Tesla will bounce from the 190 mark. Mark my words. Hey, that 190 mark, as we were showing here on the charts, that is, let me get back over to it. So 190, where are we at? 190, and 190 does go back a ways, but yep, 190 is that strong support. So there's a chance that we could come down to this 190 and maybe intraday fill this gap and then come back up. So totally possible. We will see if that happens, Gus. I will mark your words on my calendar, and we'll go from there. But judging by the way we're moving, it's possible. Logan, what sports are you betting on? I'm not a big sports bettor myself. For me personally, I'm not, because my uncle has a major addiction problem with it. So my son and I play fantasy football for fun, but I usually don't do much for money with that, just because just bad juju in my family with it. Karav made a mistake. No mistakes. I know. By the way, if you guys don't know, Karav, he's in school. He's 15. He's in school. The kid's awesome. One of my favorites. I cannot wait. Over the summer, he was doing some great stuff. So highly support him if you guys can. He's doing awesome, because he's doing this on top of schoolwork. So great job. Let me see. Adrian, 400 every year not happening. Yeah, you know what? Again, I'm going to do a major update on it after Q3 earnings. So for me, I brought it down. I was originally at 453. I brought it down to 407. I'm not holding strong to that, just because for me, a lot of the macro plays into it. So I just kind of wait for more and more numbers go on a data to data basis. So I will most likely end up being like the analysts and bring my price target down because, as a wise investor, you've got to make adjustments. You can't not do it. Yep. Germany is one of the smartest countries in the world. They love German engineering. Absolutely. I'm waiting for them. They have some very solid vehicles coming out of Germany right now. I don't know if anybody actually probably can now because they do have China Model Ys getting delivered over there with Berlin coming out. So I don't know if anybody has done an actual comparison between the two to check on quality differences. Yeah, so Studio Gale, imagine the savings you will have from not paying for gas and put that money into Tesla stock. That's true, but my commute right now is a mile and a half. So for me, the gas savings I would have is not a lot. So from when I had my last job or where I lived before, definitely big savings. But my longest commutes of the week are when I go to get my kid twice a week, and he's 45 minutes away from me. So that's the gas I would save. So I would not be saving enough in gas to warrant all of that. My gas budget every month is like $200. So, that wouldn't even make up for the vehicle itself. So it's definitely something to think about, but offsetting that with the electricity. Plus, I don't have my own house yet. A big one for me is I wanted to have a house so I could just come home, literally just plug my car in at home. I don't have that yet, and I don't have the ability to do that where I currently live. So there is a casino down the road from me, 2 minutes away. So it's not far, which I can go charge there, but I would literally have to go sit there in my car for half hour or whatever to charge, and then drive home. So it would bust up my routine quite a bit. If I had my own house, it wouldn't be a question. I would just get it. Let's see. Elon. How many shares do I have? Currently, right now, I'm about to actually, tomorrow, I'll have my 39th share in my main portfolio, and I have 15 in my IRA. So I have been adding a lot over the last month and a half to 2 months. So I was very excited after the split and started dumping money in. When we hit that 245 level, I dumped in more then. I bought one share at 252 and two at 248. So I was not expecting us to come down further like we did, but I stuck to my guns. I followed my disciplines. I bought when I wanted to buy, and that was that. Um, Jay Lizard. Warren Buffett owns Coca-Cola, and Tesla trucks are going to come to a company named Pepsi. When Warren Buffett gets the tab, they are charging for the $9.50 of Coca-Cola with his Buffett. He'll be take the Pepsi for $1.50. Yeah, that's actually a big one. When it comes to the semi, it's going to turn out to be very much like the Hertz deal. And when Hertz came out talking about how much money they are saving with their fleet because switching over to EVs saved them so much money, that's going to be the same thing that happens with a semi. As soon as Pepsi starts coming out with their earnings, showing how much money they have saved on fuel costs and everything else, and just wait till FSD comes out when we have driverless semis that are going around out there, saving on fuel and labor. Those are the two most expensive things when it comes to costs for trucking companies. There's going to be a lot of companies that are going to be switching over to Tesla semis. Let's see. Yes. When the bears laugh, the bulls buy. And honestly, the bears are a great buying signal. When you see more and more bears coming out of the woodwork, really just shouting how, haha, I told you so. Those are the times I want to buy. Because they're not wrong. Hey, the stocks are coming down in the moment, but when they're down, this is why you buy when the stocks are red and sell when they're green. I'm not a seller for Tesla, but for people who swing, that is just the basics of stock market trading. Buy when it's low, sell when it's high. So if the bears are saying that, hey, right now, I told you it's coming down, by the way, we got to the level that they told us it was coming to. Now's the time to buy. Let's see what else we got. We're pushing an hour. I'll get off of here in a moment, but I want to go through all the other comments we got. Da, da, da. Me and the wife have a 3 to 4 minute commute. Small town living has its advantages. It does, and it's for me. It's like the town's not super small where I'm at. Although I'm in Connecticut, so compared to some like places in the Midwest, like our towns are itty bitty. I remember one of my buddy was telling me, like out in California, like there's a lot of places out west where there's land that's not even like owned by anyone, and I was like, what? He couldn't understand when he came out here to Connecticut, where literally every square inch of land is owned by someone. Um, let's see here. Let me see. Return on investment on a semi is around 4 years. If I heard right, I would order one and pull the best modded camper trailer if I could afford it. Yeah, there's actually been a lot of people I've been hearing talking about buying a semi and hooking a camper up to it. And honestly, that's not a bad idea, especially because you can get a $40,000 rebate for an EV tax credit on a semi starting next year. So, for people who are doing that, if it weren't for the fact that they were coming out with the van, which I'm really looking forward to. So I have my Cybertruck. I'm like 1.3 million on the list right now. So I probably won't see it until 2025 or 2026. But if they announce the van coming out and I could put my pre-order in early and get that before the truck, I might get this Cyber van before the truck. I don't know. Maybe I'll get both. We'll see how things go. But yeah, the van, because I do plan on traveling and living in the van. So my average price for Tesla right now is 265. And when I flip over to the next share tomorrow, because the way I do it for me is I dollar cost average in my fractional account. And then when I hit a full share, I just flip it into my main account. I wish TD did fractionals. They don't do it yet. That would just make life much easier. But I already have my money there to sort of switch everything into SoFi. It doesn't make any sense. So I've got everything over in TD. And so when I hit that, so it's just an even swap for me. So I usually actually, because we've been coming down, I'll show a loss in my SoFi account, but it'll be flat and just bring down my cost basis over in TD. So my cost basis should come down into the low 260s after I make that swap tomorrow. What do you think Tesla will go to this next week? Well, so here are the things that we're paying attention to. I'll run down this. I'll run down this list and then I'll get off. So this week we have PPI coming out tomorrow. PPI is going to give us a bit of an indication because it's usually forward looking and kind of gives us an indication of what CPI is going to look like next month. So producer price index comes out tomorrow. Market's definitely going to be pensive waiting for that. We have CPI coming out on Thursday. That is also going to give us an indication as to what the Fed is going to do. We have a hawkish Fed coming out right now. So seems like they're really looking at this, but we've got Cathie Wood saying not a good idea to go this hawkish. Lots of fear in the market. Next week, we've got the earnings coming out. So on Wednesday, we will have the earnings coming out. When the earnings come out, again, a lot of people are wondering, we've already had the adjustments coming out. We've had the price targets coming down. We have deliveries out. So now the numbers we're going to be focusing on are margins, average selling price, EPS. For me, I'm also looking at energy. Is energy growing? Because if we can see just the baby footsteps of us starting this exponential curve growth for energy, that's going to be big. They had $800 million last quarter. If they can push to that closer to 1.2 to $1.5 billion this quarter, that's going to give me that sign that yes, we are moving in the right direction for energy. So because of all of that, maybe we see it going up. But again, going back to Elon selling shares for Twitter, possibly, we might not move much from earnings unless earnings come out with some blowout numbers of one way or the other. I don't know if we're even going to move much from earnings just because we're waiting to see what's going to happen with Elon and his Twitter sales. So that's just my thoughts. Chris, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Ever buy TSLL? I have not. So that's actually something that people have been talking about. So if you guys don't know, there's an ETF out there, TSLL. So it is leveraged Tesla stock. And I've not gotten into it. I need to look into it more deeply about that. I don't know enough behind it. I know a lot of people pushing that. And then there's what's the other one? TLS something. I apologize. I'm not sure. TLSL or TSLS maybe. But yeah, so those are the two ETFs that had come out. And I'm going to look into it because it's something that I might go into. Maybe it's something that I do in my IRA also because it's tax free and I might be able to swing some more in there. So Yeah, I would definitely get into that. So thank you for bringing that up. So if anybody's interested at something like that, not a bad thing to get into. Do you think Tesla is oversold? Yes, definitely oversold. Looking again, going back to the RSI here, all the way to today. RSI is at 25.3, definitely in the oversold range. The entire market is oversold at the moment, but again, we could always bounce a little bit, come up and hover and kind of slowly build RSI up and then come back down again. So um, definitely oversold. I think we should maybe the next couple of days we end up seeing better than expected numbers for PPI and CPI, and we rally into the end of the week. Totally possible, seeing as how oversold we are. Let me see. So leverage stock is super dangerous. You win way more or lose way more. Yes, this is true. So again, going to that leverage stock, this is like playing with margin. So while the TSLL is someone else's money, it's still leveraged. So it can swing a lot more, brings the volatility up. And speaking of volatility, when we got the investment grade upgrade, we talked about this previously. Having the investment grade means that more institutions are going to come in. Having more institutions come in will in turn bring up that institutional holdings up. We're currently probably around, I would say we haven't heard numbers recently. I'm guessing around the 30 to 35% range. So very, very low with institutional holding. When we see that money come back in and we start pushing to that 60, 65, 70% range, we're going to see the beta come down from where we're at right now, which is like 1.8 to 2. We'll see our beta end up coming down to like 1.3 is what Alexandra is believing we're going to come down to. So what the beta means is when the stock moves right now, for it at 2, when the S&P moves 1%, Tesla's going to move 2%. So looking at today, let me see. So we were a little bit underperforming the market. So right now the NASDAQ was down 1.09% and Tesla was down 2.9%. So we were bigger than a beta. That was like a beta of 3 on the day. So typically it's a 2. So if it comes down to 1, that means that for every 1% that the S&P moves, Tesla's going to move 1.3%. A lot less volatile, and the volatility being so high is a deterrent for a lot of people getting into the stock. You know, some people do the swing trading, so a lot of the swing trading will go away. So that will end up going away. May not have as many options coming in, so should be a smoother ride at that point because the beta has come down. That is essentially what's going to happen. And a lot of institutions also don't like playing stocks that are that volatile. So if we do have the beta come down to a 1.3, even more big money will end up coming in and balance the stock out. So we'll see more movements similar to like that of a Microsoft and an Apple, which don't move much. You know, they'll move, and when they move a lot, it's because, you know, there's something major going on. But those stocks don't move a lot. That will end up being what Tesla turns out to be. Let me see. Jay, I'd like to see Tesla do something with Disney. Like what? I'm not even sure. Maybe they have cars that drive you around Disney. That would be pretty cool. Don't know what they would do over there, but I can see Tesla partnering up with a lot of people. I just don't know where the stance would be or how they would match that up. We shall see in the future. Let's see. Let's see what's Thomas got. Thomas, I'd recommend buying call options with a long time till expire, 1 year or more. I don't play options, and again, none of this is financial advice, just Thomas's, you know, recommendations based on what he's doing. But I know for me, when I do it, I do want to sell some puts when I do get into options. And leaps, I've been hearing a lot of good things about leaps as well. So leaps are good to play. Again, I don't know. That could also be dangerous too. So positives and negatives about leaps are usually 2 years out, and you're going to play a leap, assuming, you know, you usually get them at a great price, you know, saying, hey, I'm pretty sure Tesla's going to hit, let's say, $400 in 2 years. That could happen. Now, obviously, the downside to that is you can lose everything on it if we hit some sort of massive recession for the next 2 years and the entire stock market just hits a bottom and sits there for a couple of years. That could end up being a negative behind it. So that's just both the positives and negatives behind it for the education purposes. But could be lucrative in the long term. Your shirt will be green tomorrow. I sure hope so. It's been a while since I wore the green shirt over the weekend because we had some great news coming out. So, but yeah, that's uh, yeah, this red shirt is killing me. Just seeing this oof, just my goodness. This here reminds me of all of my races, and these are like the black diamonds that I would have to go up and down all day long at my races. And let me tell you how much fun that wasn't. But to relate it to my races and end the live stream on this, I did my races going up and down black diamonds that were this steep all day long. It sucked in the moment, but at the end of the day, I felt like $1,000,000 and I was that much better for it. So take that as your wisdom for the day. This is going to be worth it in the end because we're going through it. Let me just grab the last couple of comments here and then I will be off. Red shirt means buy. I mean, you're not wrong. When it's red, buy. Eric, hello, Tim. Besides Tesla Boomer Mama and her ETF, do you know any basket of funds which heavily invest in Tesla? Biggest ones that I know of are Gary Black's, FFND, and Gerber Kawasaki, Ross Gerber, his fund. So those two are big ones that if you're going to be looking at a fund to get into that has heavy amounts of Tesla, those are the two. Those are the two I would recommend, if any. So for me, I just buy it myself because even those two, I think Gary said his is 13 or 13.5% Tesla. So, for somebody who's looking for a basket of funds, that would be one of the biggest ones to get into. We're going to end on this because it's awesome. My black diamond is going upstairs to get a beer. Oh my God. So yes. So on that note, Cosmic Stale, I am going to go and get myself some dinner as well. So thank you guys all so much for being on. I hope you guys learned something from this today. If you did, just make sure you share this with others when I do post it out there. And I will be doing this every week. At least once a week, I'll do a chart sheet with you guys to help give you guys a little education on this. And again, for any of you guys who are members or patrons this weekend, I will be doing a live stream just for you guys. I'm not sure what day yet. I'll let you know for sure. But I'm going to break down on there how I determine all of these different levels that you see. And as I was calling the 313s, 300s, 279s, 289s, all those levels that I came up with, I'll be showing you guys how I came up with all of those this weekend. So otherwise, it was great talking to you all, and I will chat with you guys later.